everyone, Comic Reviewer here. This time reviewing on The Karate Kid Part 3. Now, as you know, The Karate Kid Part 3 is a 1989 martial arts drama film and was the third entry in the Karate Kid film series, as well as being a sequel to The Karate Kid Part 2. And keep in mind, this one is meant to be more like the final arc in the story, as well as in 1994 we would get the next Karate Kid. Now, the premise of the film is meant to follow John Kreese after the events in Karate Kid Part 2. After his assault on Johnny, he kind of ends up losing his students and is now in financial debt, and of course gets the help of his old Vietnam War comrade Terry Silva. Now, Terry's character is meant to be a bit more kind of maniacal, scheming, conniving, and kind of menacing. The difference between him and John Kreese is John is pretty much a broken man who just needed help. The point of Terry Silva is that he's a manipulative, arrogant, and selfish man, even owning a toxic waste disposal business. We also do see how Daniel and Mr. Miyagi kind of return to Los Angeles to find out that the South Seas apartment building is being kind of reconstructed, and we see how Mr. Miyagi's left unemployed and Daniel left homeless. And we kind of see how Daniel's mum has to take care of Daniel's uncle, so we kind of see how Daniel wants to start up a new business with Mr. Miyagi, and at the same time, we end up meeting Daniel's new friend and sort of love interest, Jessica. And of course, we do see how Terry Silva pulls every strings to get Daniel back into the ring, as well as having a new villain, a sort of Johnny-like character called Mike Barnes. Now, the difference between Johnny and Mike Barnes is, I think Johnny was a character who looked up to John Kreese like a father figure. Mike Barnes, on the other hand, is a more aggressive, violent, and dangerous person who has no concern or care for his actions. And we do kind of see how Daniel does want to go back into the ring, but Mr. Miyagi knows that it's just a trophy, nothing more. So we kind of see how slowly Daniel is manipulated by Terry Silva into thinking he's his friend, and we kind of see how Daniel slowly becomes a shell of his former self, only to realise his mistakes. Now, I would say the film has a bit of a message about realising that the people who are there for you know what's best for you, and the people who will throw you down a dark path will make you into a shell of your former self. And I can see why people would criticise them rehashing elements of the first two films. I think that was the point. The point of Cobra Kai was meant to be something that would never go away. And the point of it was that John Kreese wouldn't have given up, because at this point he blames Daniel and Mr. Miyagi for his own faults, even though he did let his anger, his kind of jealousy and that get the better of him. And I think the point of Terry Silva is that it's kind of clear he doesn't really show any care for John Kreese, just wanting to extend the Cobra Kai business, as well as showing Daniel and Mr. Miyagi what happens when they mess with him. And I think for the most part the film really does work, because you can kind of tell Daniel slowly starts to push Mr. Miyagi away, and you can tell Mr. Miyagi is worried that Daniel might become something worse as Terry Silva and John Kreese. And I think the point of Daniel is meant to be kind of like Damien from Batman vs. Robin, slowly becoming a shell of his former self. And I think for the most part, I do see the film a bit like an arc, because the first Karate Kid film was meant to have Daniel go against his bullies. The point of the second film was meant to have him explore Mr. Miyagi's roots, and the point of the third film was to end Cobra Kai once and for all, and to make sure that Daniel doesn't end up becoming a shell of his former self. And I would say my overview thought on the three Karate Kid films, they are definitely an okay series. It's more about standing up for what's right and knowing to use karate responsibly and not for violent and dangerous means. So I think the first three films definitely deserve a thumbs up. They're still good and still alright. And I think the third film is an okay adaptation. It's not going to go big with its story, but it's still keeping true to what the first and the second film was. So I think it deserves a thumbs up. Still good and still alright. So, Comic Reviewer here, signing out.